It is so expensive to live here. It's already been 6 years since I moved to San Francisco after college, and today's video is going to be about some of the things that I love about the city and the things that I don't like about the city. So the number one thing that I love about San Francisco is the people. When I first got here, what really drew me to the city was how much energy, ambition, and the entrepreneurial spirit that I sensed from people in the city. And early in my career, in my young 20s, this was really important to me because it gave me a lot of inspiration and motivation to really build my career. I also love how my friends here talk a lot about politics, racism, current events. We're not always talking about work or boys, although that happens a lot. People are very open in general and inclusive in the Bay. There's a huge LGBTQ plus community. I'm pretty certain that you will be able to find your own group of friends here. It might take some time. It took me 2 to 3 years to really feel like I have solid friendships in the city. There's a bunch of meetups and events that happen throughout the city, throughout the year, and so you will be able to meet a lot of people here. Because the city's so diverse, you're gonna have a lot of food options here. And so if you're like me and you need some spice to all your dishes, you got plenty of Korean, Thai, Mexican, Japanese, Italian, there's even Burmese. And if you need a Korean market, there's a small one in Japantown. There's also a little Indian market and a Japanese market. So if you need your kimchi or tteokbokki or Maggi sauce that I've been really into recently, you won't need to starve yourself of those necessities. Food is on the more expensive side. So if you're going out with friends on a weekend and you get a drink, which is around $14, and you get a dinner dish, then you'll be paying about $30 to $40 plus tip and tax. Tax here is 8.5%, so it's more on the higher end. Even for lunch, if you are doing a takeout and you're getting a sandwich, it's gonna cost you about $14 to $15. There's also a lot of cool bars, tiki bars, rooftop bars like El Techo that I really like. There's also this cool 90s hip hop club that I love going to. It's called Raven. I always have such a good time there. I want to thank Ruggable for sponsoring today's video. Their rugs are machine washable and stain resistant, so if you're looking for rugs that will last you through the years where you don't have to throw it out because it's gotten dirty and stained and you don't know really how to remove those stains, Ruggable will have the solution for you. It's so easy to detach and reattach the rug cover from the bottom pad, and so you can just throw it in the washing machine and then put it in the dryer afterwards. I also love all their designs. They have Moroccan, Bohemian, more contemporary styles, and so you can choose from a lot of variety of designs. I chose this coral rug because I was going for more of that natural, washed out, weathered, rustic look. Click on the description box below to get 10% off your rug using the code FUNCHUN10, valid for the next month. The weather is great overall. There's no season in San Francisco. It's pretty much consistent all throughout the year, except October. October does get a little bit hot, but you do have to layer. So when the sun sets, it does get cold and windy. So I'm always wearing 3 to 4 layers, like a tank top, a shirt, cardigan, and then an outer layer. San Francisco also has microclimate. So if you're in the Mission where there's not a lot of hills, it tends to be sunnier on the southern side of the city. And then if you go up north, it's a lot more windy, a lot more foggy near the Ocean Beach area, so that's Sunset and Richmond. It's pretty cloudy most of the time. It tends to get very foggy frequently, and the fog has a name. His name is Carl. He also has a Twitter handle. If you wanted to see Golden Gate and Carl decides to show up, well, you're not going to see Golden Gate Bridge. San Francisco is also very nature oriented, so there's a ton of parks, and it's a very park city, I would say, because people love to do picnics, go out to Mission Dolores Park, which is a very nice park to just lounge in. But my favorite is Alta Plaza Park. It is on top of a hill, so you had to climb a lot of stairs to go up. But once you're up there and the sun is setting, or you're there during sunrise, which I would often do, is go there at like 6 a.m. and watch the sunrise. It is so beautiful because you just get to see the whole city. You can also access water fairly easily. So if you wanted to run along the water near the pier, you can do that. Or you could go to Ocean Beach on the west side of the city. So San Francisco's public transportation is not like New York's. It is not efficient. It is not the best, but it does exist, for which I'm grateful because I hate driving. But it is a pretty walkable city, so if the sun is out, I will walk to the place if it's a 20-30 minute walk. But if not, I will take the Muni bus or the BART train if I wanted to go to East Bay. But I avoid taking the BART because it is not the cleanest and it is very loud. It is a very old train. I don't know why they don't update the train. I also never take public transportation past 7 or 8 p.m. because it's not the safest. So I'll take an Uber or Lyft, which costs about $12 to $20 during the pandemic because you can't share your ride with strangers. But before the pandemic, it used to be $5 to $7, pretty affordable. Here are the things that I don't like about San Francisco. One being that it is so expensive to live here. That's a no-brainer, but it sometimes hurts when I think about how much I spend to live here because rent is so expensive. So when I first moved here, I was living with 4 roommates in a really nice big house in Potrero Hill, which is also a pretty nice area, but it is on top of a hill. And so when you're on a hill and in hillier areas, you will see less of the homelessness just because homeless people don't really want to go up the hill like we all don't want to go up the hill. The struggles of living in SF. Gotta drive these hills. So I used to pay about $1,300 to $1,500 per month for a big room in that 5-bedroom house, which was a really good price even at that time. I think prices right now are pretty comparable because a lot of people want to get their own space because of the pandemic, and I've seen more and more people try not to room with roommates, and maybe that's changing as people are coming back into San Francisco right now. But when I see listings on Facebook or Craigslist, I'm seeing a lot of postings that, you know, are moderately new, good location, enough space, but you live with roommates, and they're going for about $1,300 to $1,600. Now, if you want to live alone, it does get a lot more expensive. So a studio for about 400, 500 square feet is about $2,100 to over $3,000. So if you're in one of those older buildings, you will pay the lower end of that range. But if you're in one of those newer apartments, you will end up paying over $3,000. Rent does get a little bit cheaper if you move out to East Bay like Emeryville, Berkeley, or Oakland, but it's not significantly cheaper. And so if you want to stay in the city and you don't have a car, I'd say San Francisco is a better place for you to live. What surprises a lot of people visiting San Francisco for the first time is how prevalent homelessness is. And these areas where there's a lot more homelessness, like the Tenderloin, certain parts of Soma, and the Mission, that's where also a lot of more people of color reside. And I would say the tech industry has driven a lot of that homelessness and gentrified a lot of neighborhoods. And so you just see a very stark difference just walking one street and you feel safe, and you walk one block from that street, away from that street into another one, and you see needles everywhere. You see a lot of poop, so you gotta watch out when you're walking in San Francisco. You never know when you will step on poop. That's just the nature of living here. And for me as a female, I try to stay in the safer neighborhoods like Hayes, Alamo Square, Pack Heights, the Marina. Parking is a beast here. So if you own a car, you will probably have to pay around $300, $400 per month to get your own designated spot. Some places don't even offer a parking garage or parking spot, so you'll just have to find street parking. I don't think this really matters when you're single and you don't have a car. You can just Uber everywhere. But if you have a family and you're trying to raise kids here, I don't think it's worth it. If you want to see my living situation and my apartment tour, check out this video right here, and check out my Instagram for more content on living in San Francisco.